Right now, we have to evaluate another story about Joe Biden's breaches of our laws and national security. Joe Biden's team has admitted that he was in possession of classified documents for 6 years. He was not allowed under the law to possess these documents. The spin from the pro-Democrat biased press is revealing, as it is disgusting. Joe Biden's classified documents problem is America's problem. That's our focus in today's preamble. The classified documents from Joe Biden's time as vice president were discovered in Joe Biden's private office, unsecured private office, before the midterm elections in the fall. The failed Supreme Court nominee and the crooked Attorney General Merrick Garland made sure this story did not get out before the midterms. Merrick Garland made sure the existence of the illegal activity was hush-hush. The only reason why we know about it now is because the GOP has taken over the House. This is the Democrats' effort to, quote, get out ahead of the story. A source tells CNN that the documents that Biden illegally possessed related to Ukraine, Iran, and the UK. But this isn't the most damaging aspect of this story. As you all know, the majority of Americans, according to polling, believe that Joe Biden and his regime are compromised by our enemy, Communist China. The classified documents were housed in the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. The Washington, D.C. facility, a joint venture with the University of Pennsylvania, had a major benefactor. According to public records, the Ivy League college raked in a total of $54.6 million from 2014 through June of 2019 in donations from Communist China, including $23.1 million in anonymous gifts starting in 2016. Joe Biden, by the way, drew a $900,000 salary from this alleged nonprofit. The treatment Joe Biden has received from the press has been timid. In contrast, members of the biased press accused President Trump of selling alleged classified information stored at Mar-a-Lago to the Russians. Those same members of the biased press are moot today on the possibility that America's enemies, Communist China, had access to classified information that Joe Biden was keeping illegally. Speaking of President Trump, the unfair and biased press, led by the Washington Post, alleged that Trump was in possession of nuclear codes. The fake news was intended to stop President Trump from announcing his re-election bid. Turns out that the Washington Post and other left-wing, unfair and untrustworthy news sources were wrong or lying again. The Washington Post had to sheepishly admit that the FBI found no nuclear secrets or anything else illegal at Mar-a-Lago in that raid. Speaking of the raid, former President Trump is asking a fair question this afternoon. When can we expect to see equal justice under the law? If President Trump's home was raided, when can we expect the same of Joe Biden and his numerous homes? CNN tried to explain this double standard of justice.
Of course, the difference here is that according to the White House, it was the president's legal team that reached out to NARA to turn over these documents, as opposed to with Trump, who fought for months and months not to turn over documents that the archive said needed to be turned over, Jake.
How significant is that difference?
Well, you know, it's a big difference because, you know, part of the reason why there was this extraordinary search, Jake, at Mar-a-Lago back in August was because the former president was refusing to turn over documents.
Whoa, but wait. Is that the difference? Are we to believe the law says as long as Democrats admit their crimes and after 6 years and untold damage to our national security turn themselves in, if that happens, then all is forgiven? As much as CNN and the Democrat apologists want to make that two-tier justice system legitimate, the fact that the GOP gets raided and the Democrats get treated with kid gloves because they push out the equivalent of, oh, my bad, that's not the determining factor of legality or the seriousness of this story. Congressman Byron Donalds tried to explain that to CNN's Wolf Blitzer.
Oh, well, my reaction is pretty simple. I'm wondering why the Vice President of the United States had classified documents outside of the hands of the intelligence community. Listen, it's been pretty clear that presidents do have some classified documents, but the difference between a president and everybody else is the president has the ability to declassify information.
And there it is. The real difference, CNN, between President Trump and Vice President Biden is the office they held and the powers delegated to that office. A president can declassify anything. He or she is the only American who can. Even though Donalds tried to explain it to Blitzer, in that same interview, Wolf tried to create a false equivalency, hoping the CNN viewers would buy the lie.
But to be perfectly honest, yes, they have a classified clearance, but that doesn't mean they get to remove documents.
Well, that's
You're not allowed
right.
to remove them.
They're not allowed to take classified information, especially highly classified documents that are sensitive, compartmented information, SCI documents, which is what Trump did at Mar-a-Lago. So you're ready to react to that as well? What Trump did was illegal. Is that what you're saying?
And that has been the Democrats' defense for all of their illegal activity for decades. Irresponsible media like CNN have promulgated that lie. The Democrats simply accuse Republicans of breaking the laws the Democrats are actually guilty of breaking. Then idiots like Wolf Blitzer there get to blithely and falsely proclaim, see, everybody does it, nothing to see here. Joe Biden is guilty of breaking the law. As vice president, he had no authority to declassify anything. As president, Trump did. Today, articles of impeachment were filed for Alejandro Mayorkas. The next filing should be for failed Attorney General Merrick Garland, who used his office to make sure Americans didn't have all the information about the leader of the Democrats before the election. And then a complete damage assessment should be done on the classified documents that Joe Biden took as vice president and wasn't legally allowed to have. And Joe Biden should suffer the steepest penalty possible under our Constitution and law for his illegal activities.